September 3rd, 1962, 9:15 p.m. Vincent. The wrench, DeLuca checked his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. Across the street, Red Rooster restaurant glowed warm in a Harlem night. And inside, at his usual booth by the window, Bumpy Johnson was finishing his Thursday dinner. Vincent wasn't alone. Parked in 3 separate vehicles within a 2-block radius were 9 other men, all armed, all experienced, all paid $10,000 each to do one job: make sure Bumpy Johnson never finished his meal. The contract came from New Jersey. Tommy Three Fingers Lucchese won a Harlem, and after 4 years of failed negotiations, territorial disputes, and lost revenue, the commission had finally authorized what they called the ultimate solution: 10 professional hitmen, military-grade planning, overwhelming force, no room for error. Vincent keyed his radio. Target is still eating. He's got 2 guys with him, one at the bar, one by the door. Static crackled back. We see them. When he comes out, we move fast. 30 seconds in and out. Vincent nodded to himself, scanning the street. They'd chosen Thursday specifically because Thursdays were Bumpy's routine. Every Thursday at 8 p.m., he'd arrive at Red Rooster. Same booth, same meal, fried chicken and collard greens, same 2-hour dinner. And every Thursday at 10 p.m., he'd walk out that front door and head to his Cadillac parked at the curb. Tonight, when Bumpy reached that Cadillac, he'd walk into a crossfire from 3 directions. 10 guns, probably 100 rounds. Nobody could survive that. Nobody. What Vincent didn't know, what none of the 10 hitmen knew, was that Bumpy Johnson hadn't eaten at Red Rooster on a Thursday in 6 weeks. Inside the restaurant, the man wearing Bumpy's trademark fedora and gray suit, sitting in Bumpy's usual booth with his back to the window, wasn't Bumpy Johnson at all. His name was Marcus Webb, a 52-year-old jazz musician who happened to be the same height and build as Bumpy. And Marcus was about to have the longest night of his life. Let's back up. To understand what happened outside Red Rooster that night, you need to understand how Bumpy found out about the ambush in the first place. July 1962, 2 months before the hit, a woman named Delilah Santos walked into Bumpy's office above the Palm Cafe. Delilah was a housekeeper, worked for Tommy Lucchese's underboss in Fort Lee. She cleaned his house twice a week, dusted his office, emptied his trash. Invisible labor. Nobody noticed the help. Mr. Johnson, Delilah said quietly, setting a folded piece of paper on Bumpy's desk. I heard something I thought you should know about. Bumpy looked up from the newspaper he'd been reading. He recognized Delilah. Her cousin ran a numbers spot on 145th. Good people. What did you hear? Mr. Castellano was on the phone in his study. I was cleaning the hallway. He didn't know I was there. He was talking about you. About a contract. Bumpy's expression didn't change, but his eyes sharpened. What kind of contract? The permanent kind. He said they were bringing in professionals. 10 of them. He said they'd been watching your pattern for months. He mentioned Red Rooster specifically. Said Thursday nights, that's when they'd do it. Bumpy unfolded the paper Delilah had brought. On it, she'd written everything she could remember. Names, dates, phrases. Vincent DeLuca was mentioned. So was a man called the Butcher, which was probably Sal Moretti, a hitman out of Philadelphia known for never missing. You did get coming here, Bumpy said, opening his desk drawer. He pulled out an envelope containing $2,000. Take this. And Delilah, you never came here. You never heard anything. Understand? Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. After she left, Bumpy sat alone for a long time, thinking. 10 professional hitmen. That wasn't just a hit. That was an execution. The kind of overwhelming force you couldn't fight your way through. Most men in Bumpy's position would have gone to ground, disappeared for a while, changed their routines completely. But Bumpy Johnson didn't become the king of Harlem by hiding. He became king by turning problems into opportunities. Over the next 6 weeks, Bumpy built one of the most elaborate deceptions in organized crime history. First, he changed his actual Thursday routine. Instead of Red Rooster, he started eating at a different spot each week, always with heavy security, always in locations the mob wasn't watching. But publicly, nothing changed. His associate still made his usual Thursday reservation at Red Rooster. His Cadillac still showed up at the curb. And someone still sat in that window booth, wearing Bumpy's clothes, smoking Bumpy's brand of cigars. That someone was Marcus Webb. Marcus needed money. His daughter was getting married, and jazz piano didn't pay what it used to. When Bumpy approached him with an unusual proposition, $5,000 to sit in a restaurant booth for 2 hours wearing specific clothes, Marcus said yes. He didn't ask questions. In Harlem, you didn't question Bumpy Johnson. You trusted him, or you didn't take the job. All you do is sit there, Bumpy explained. Eat your dinner slow. Read the paper. Smoke. At 10 p.m., my guys will walk you out the back door. You never use the front entrance. Never. Why can't I use the front? Marcus asked. Bumpy looked at him with those calm, calculating eyes. Because I need everyone outside to think you're me for as long as possible. And Marcus, if anyone tells you different, if anyone suggests using the front door, you say no. Your life depends on it. Marcus swallowed hard. He was beginning to understand he wasn't just earning $5,000. He was earning survival. For 6 weeks, Marcus performed his role perfectly. Every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m., he was Bumpy Johnson. And outside, Vincent DeLuca and his team watched, documenting everything, confirming the pattern, getting ready. But Bumpy wasn't just setting up a decoy. He was preparing a trap. He called in favors from every corner of Harlem. Police officers who owed him their careers. Businessmen who owed him their livelihoods. Street kids who owed him their lives. By late August, Bumpy had transformed the 2-block radius around Red Rooster into a killing field that only looked like a normal Harlem street. The newsstand on the corner? The guy selling papers was actually Jerome Williams, Bumpy's most trusted enforcer, with a shotgun hidden under magazines. The cab parked across the street? That was Missouri Frank behind the wheel, another of Bumpy's men, with a Thompson submachine gun in the trunk. The 3 homeless men sitting in an alley? Armed. The 4 couples walking past the restaurant throughout the evening? All Bumpy's people. By the time September 3rd rolled around, Bumpy had 20 men positioned in and around Red Rooster, all waiting for the hitmen to make their move. And here's the genius of it. Bumpy didn't just want to survive the ambush. He wanted to send a message so loud, so violent, so unmistakable that the commission would never try anything like this again. September 3rd, 9:47 p.m. Marcus Webb finished his coffee and stubbed out a cigar. Right on schedule, 2 of Bumpy's men appeared at his booth. Time to go, Marcus, one of them said quietly. They escorted him through the kitchen and out the back door, where a car was waiting. Marcus got in, still wearing Bumpy's fedora and suit jacket, and the car disappeared into the night. At 9:52 p.m., Vincent DeLuca keyed his radio. Target standing up. Get ready. Inside the restaurant, one of Bumpy's men, a young guy named Antoine, put on a fedora identical to the one Marcus had been wearing. From outside, through the window, you couldn't tell the difference. Antoine walked toward the front door slowly, just like Bumpy would. Vincent's heart rate picked up. This was it. Years of planning. Months of surveillance. 10 professional killers. 1 target. At 9:55 p.m., Antoine pushed to the front door of Red Rooster and stepped onto the sidewalk. Vincent raised his radio. All units, light him up. What happened next lasted exactly 47 seconds, but those 47 seconds changed everything. The first shot came from Vincent's position. He had a clear line of sight, maybe 30 feet. He aimed for center mass and fired twice. Both rounds hit Antoine in the chest. Antoine went down hard. But as he fell, something strange happened. Instead of chaos, instead of people screaming and running, the street erupted in coordinated violence. The newsstand exploded in motion. Jerome Williams came up with that shotgun, both barrels aimed at the car Vincent was shooting from. He fired. The windshield disintegrated. Vincent ducked, ears ringing. From the cab across the street, Missouri Frank was already moving. He popped the trunk, grabbed the Thompson, and opened fire on the second hitman vehicle, a black sedan parked near the corner. The driver took rounds through the door, through the window. The car lurched forward and crashed into a parked truck. The four couples, walking the street, pulled weapons from their coats. They weren't panicking. They were attacking. The three homeless men in the alley charged out with pistols raised. Suddenly, the 10 professional hitmen found themselves in the middle of a war they hadn't prepared for. Vincent's driver screamed, "It's a setup! Go, go, go!" But there was nowhere to go. Missouri Frank's Thompson was shredding their engine block. Another burst of gunfire came from the restaurant's second floor. Vincent looked up and saw muzzle flashes from what he thought was an empty apartment. Bumpy had men up there too. The third hitman vehicle, a panel van, tried to reverse out of the kill zone. They made it about 20 feet before two of Bumpy's men threw a mattress into the street behind them, and the mattress was on fire. The van stopped, trapped. "Abandon the vehicles," someone shouted on Vincent's radio. "Fight your way out." 8 of the hitmen managed to get out of their cars. They were professionals, experienced, and even ambushed, they fought back hard. Sal the butcher, Moretti took cover behind a mailbox and dropped 2 of Bumpy's men with precise headshots. Another hitman, a younger guy Vincent didn't know well, made it to the alley and wounded Jerome Williams with a desperate burst of automatic fire. For 90 seconds, the corner of Lenox Avenue and 138th Street sounded like a war zone. Pistols, shotguns, submachine guns. Glass shattering. People screaming. Car alarms blaring. But Bumpy's men had the numbers, they had the positions, and they had something the hitmen didn't have. They were fighting for their home. One by one, the hitmen went down. Sal Moretti took a shotgun blast to the chest and died instantly. 2 more hitmen were cut down trying to reach the alley. Another was shot climbing a fire escape. Vincent saw it all happening and made a decision that would save his life. He didn't try to fight. He didn't try to reach his gun. He put his hands up and stepped into the open street, visible, surrendering. "I'm done," he shouted. "Don't shoot. I'm done." Missouri Frank, reloading his Thompson, looked at Vincent for a long moment. Then he lowered the weapon. "On your knees, hands behind your head." Vincent complied. Around him, the shooting was ending. Bumpy's men were checking bodies, securing the street. Out of 10 professional hitmen, 9 were dead or dying. Vincent was the only one still breathing. The police showed up 12 minutes later. By then, Bumpy's men had vanished like smoke, taking their weapons with them. All that remained were the bodies, the destroyed vehicles, and one very cooperative witness named Vincent DeLuca. At the precinct, Vincent sat in an interrogation room, shaking. A detective named Wilson, one of the few honest cops in Harlem, sat across from him. "You want to tell me what happened out there?" Vincent said nothing at first. Then the door opened and Bumpy Johnson walked in. Vincent's eyes went wide. "Relax," Detective Wilson said. "Mr. Johnson is here as a concerned citizen. Someone just tried to shoot up his favorite restaurant." Bumpy sat down slowly, never taking his eyes off Vincent. He wore a different suit tonight, dark blue instead of gray, and there wasn't a scratch on him. "You tried to kill me," Bumpy said quietly. "That took guts. Stupid guts, but guts." Vincent's voice came out as a whisper. "You knew. I always know. Question is, what happens now? You've got 2 choices. Choice 1, you keep your mouth shut about who sent you. You go to prison for the next 20 years for attempted murder. Your family gets nothing. The mob forgets you existed. Or choice 2, Bumpy leaned forward. You tell the district attorney everything. Who hired you, who paid you, who gave the orders. You testify. And when you get out in maybe 8 years with good behavior, you'll find an envelope waiting for you. $50,000. Enough to disappear, start over, take care of your family. If I testify, the mob will kill me. They tried to kill you tonight when you got caught. They don't reward failure. Vincent, you're a dead man either way. At least this way your family eats." Vincent looked at the table. He thought about his wife in Queens, his 2 sons. He thought about loyalty and what it had gotten him. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. "I'll testify," he said. And he did. Vincent DeLuca spent the next 3 months telling prosecutors everything. The names, the meetings, the money trail. His testimony helped bring indictments against 6 high-level mob figures, including Tommy Lucchese's underboss. The trials took 2 years. The mob's hold on several rackets weakened, and Harlem stayed firmly in Bumpy Johnson's hands. True to his word, when Vincent got out of prison in 1970, there was an envelope waiting for him, $50,000 cash. He took his family to Arizona and opened a hardware store. He never spoke about that night again, except once, to a reporter in 1985, just before he died. People ask me how Bumpy Johnson stayed on top for so long, Vincent said. It's simple. He didn't just react to threats. He saw them coming from miles away and turned them into his advantage. That night, we thought we were hunting him. But the whole time, we were the prey. He let us walk into his trap, and then he made sure only one of us survived to spread the word. That's not just smart. That's genius. The story of the Red Rooster ambush became another legend in Bumpy Johnson's already legendary career. The mob never tried a direct hit on Bumpy again. They couldn't afford to, because everyone in the underworld now understood something fundamental. You couldn't kill a man who always knew you were coming, and you definitely couldn't kill a man who could turn your assassination attempt into a demonstration of his power. Bumpy Johnson died 6 years later, not from bullets, but from a heart attack. By then, he'd secured Harlem's independence so thoroughly that even after his death, the neighborhood remained out of reach for the 5 families. As for Marcus Webb, the jazz pianist who played Bumpy for 6 Thursday nights, he used his $5,000 to pay for his daughter's wedding. Years later, someone asked him if he'd known how dangerous the job really was. Marcus smiled. I knew Bumpy Johnson. Don't pay $5,000 for nothing. But I also knew if Bumpy put me in that booth, he had a plan to get me out alive. And he did. That man played chess while everyone else was playing checkers. You don't question the grandmaster. You just trust he sees the whole board.